Hello, I'm your host Angelina, and you are listening to V.I.P podcast, where we talk about very important people, ponies and pooches. In today's episode, I am bringing to you an interview with Angela Lucas, who runs one of the top UK Hooper organisations in the UK. For those of you that don't know what Hoopers is, it is a fairly new sport that is brought over to the UK only a few years ago. In my opinion, it is a fantastic sport for both dogs and their handlers. It is low impact on the dog and allows you and the dog to work together at your distance handling, gaining you points in competitions. I am in fact a qualified judge and instructor, as well as Hooper level examiner under Angela's organisation, Hooperholics UK. Angela is based up country from me here in Devon, but there are competitions, training sessions, etc. held all over the country, well, before COVID put a hold on it all, of course. If you are based around the southwest of England, me and my mum both train the sport at Devon Animal Training Academy. We also hold Hooper competitions there too. There are quite a few Hooper organisations out there. My attitude towards them is you can always be a part of more than one organisation. As long as you keep up with all their individual rules, etc., then there isn't any reason why you can't. If you would like to join a Hooper organisation, I suggest you do a little research of your own. Have a read of the rules to figure out which organisation or organisations would suit you and your dog best, because after all, no one knows you and your dog as well as you do. Anyways, it is time to give Angela a call and ask her all about Hoopers and Hooperholics UK. Hello Angela, how are you?
I'm fine, Angelina, and hello to the listeners.
So, could you please start us off by telling us where Hoopers originally came from?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll do my best. Now, Hoopers is really started back in America, and that's where I got the idea from. My dog was coming to the end of his career back in 2016 in agility. We'd just been on a international agility contest for dogs and disabled handlers, and he was beginning to show signs that agility was getting too much. So I found out about Hoopers through knowing about the American Agility Society, NADAC, who had introduced this obstacle as part of a low impact style agility society. I was hooked on it. I started asking people, did anybody know about it in the UK? Turned out a few people knew about it, dotted around the country. I tried to get in touch with all of them to start setting up a more national network. And then following the fact that I was looking at, I was starting to be asked, oh, could you come and do a class for us? Could you come and do a workshop for us? And I'm thinking, I don't know as much as you think I know, but I'll do my best. Anyway, as a result of that, my friends encouraged me, and you need to set up something. So that's where Hooperholics UK was born. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the point is that Hoopers is just fun. You just had a smile on your face whenever you tried it. And when I did demonstrations, to show people what it was, so many people and their dogs loved it that we just had to keep going.
Yeah. So, can you tell us all about Hooperholics UK, your baby, if you like?
Well, as I say, Hoopers is meant to be obstacles that don't require the dogs to jump or and to run in a natural state, and that's what I really liked. When I started doing the demonstrations and the workshops, people said, oh, Ange, you've got to try and get this out to more people. And so that's when Hooperholics UK got started. We got started about 2018 officially. Okay. Now, what we've done there is we're looking at providing training, instructor training, the latest methods that more experienced trainers have created, passing them on and sharing them to the people in the UK. Now, for those who are still learning about it, Hoopers is meant to be a skill of distance handling, and that is teaching the dog to run around the course using its own enthusiasm, its own natural speed, while you as the handler just steer them from a strategic position. That could be from a square, or it could be sort of like from halfway across the course. So it gets harder as you get more experienced at it, but it starts off in a very simple way. And Hooperholics UK started getting to know some of the people who had started Hoopers in Europe, and so we have been learning how to do the best things in Hoopers from those people.
I actually started Hoopers under Hooperholics UK as well, so Hoopers is supposed to be a happy and fun atmosphere for both dogs and handlers, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And that's why I wanted Hooperholics to stay. That's why I got hooked on it. Everybody seemed to come out happy. And it's what I want, or what I like to have as that underlying foundation for anybody who's a Hooperholic, HUK instructor, or person learning from an HUK instructor and training in the Hooper levels. Just keep it fun. It doesn't have to be extraordinarily complicated. Now, there's some things which you can see immediate benefits from, and this is what I like about it too. So I mean, short term, so many people got so much out of it when they did it for the first time. You know, they went, the dog went, oh, I like this. And you could tell the dog was saying, oh, I haven't been asked to do anything that's out of my depth. I can do this and it's really fun. And the handler then picks up on that and says, wow, I really like this. My dog looks like it. Can I try it again? Fine. Do you know what I mean? So, but as I kept going at training and working through it, I started noticing longer term benefits. Now, some of that is to do with the fact that the person who created the Hoopers format and the obstacles was I believe, a physiotherapist. Okay. And so there is a benefit physically to the dog. You don't ask them to twist themselves too tightly. You don't ask them. They don't need to be asked to go too fast. They can go at their pace. So if that's a trot, it's a trot. They don't have to be told they've got to go out at an all-out gallop. And the exercises actually fit the dog much nicer, and I believe that they are used as often core exercises to help a dog learn to start suppling themselves up, balance themselves equally, all within sort of like just gentle parameters. And the other thing I find is that for some of the overreactive dogs, the easily aroused dogs, that get so excited when they see the handler trying to keep up with them in agility or run fast or whatever, because you slow down your rate of handling, you're not trying to keep up with your dog around a Hooper course. It allows the dog to focus better, and some of these easily aroused dogs settle Very slowly, it's a subtle difference, but they start settling into it because they've got less distractions from the handler and they can enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and when I have actually attended Hooper shows down in the southwest, I've really enjoyed the atmosphere. Like, mostly everyone offers to help out with something, either lugging around equipment or calling out names to ensure people make it to their classes on time, etc.
Oh yeah, there's a very good atmosphere in the Hooper community regarding, at shows. There's always a happy, friendly atmosphere. And do you know what? There's one word that I like to say. Hoopers is magic. I can't put my finger on it, but wherever you go to do Hoopers, it somehow has a magical effect. It's like it's always a relaxing thing. The Hooper shows are relaxed, the dogs are happy. It just helps people put a smile on their face. That's all I can say. That is something I really would like to have kept going as a real essential thing to promote.
Yeah, definitely, because I remember my first Hooper show, I was panicking that my dog was going to go out of the ring and herd another dog in the next ring, but he was so chilled out, it was actually really unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, we may not be talking exactly about shows right now, but no. I think some of the practices that people have put into Hooper shows as part of their regulations and their things actually helps lower the tension or the impact around the mental impact around the courses. And at this moment in time, also the fact that shows are often just limited to 1 or 2 rings, it does make people feel less stressed about, I've got to get to this ring on time. I've got to walk miles to get my dog and change dogs. People are willing to wait for them to change their dogs, to walk the course, and all that lowers the level to a place where dogs and handlers can feel welcomed and really enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's not helpful if you yourself are stressed, because that also transfers onto the dog then.
No, absolutely. But everybody, has a different stress level. Some people do get a little nervous, at every show. And some people take it into their stride, take it in their stride eventually. And some dogs get worried by the presence of other people's dogs too close to them, or being, and other dogs take a little while to get wound up. I don't know what will happen in the future. That may change, but at the moment, Hooper societies do try and work hard at, and this is Hooperholics included, at asking for a certain etiquette to be practiced around the ring, which keeps people calm yet focused and ready to, and on the ball.
Mm-hmm. So a question that I'm quite often asked is, what age can a dog actually start training at Hoopers?
That's a good one. Now, I would say, I would say you are looking at getting through your puppy training first. So if we're talking about a young dog, you've got a puppy, when can I start Hooper training? Do your puppy socialization and all those practical training things, put them, on the skills bar before you move on to trying to do Hoopers. I would say, now I'm going to go back into how I did it with my dogs. I've been training my dogs in distance handling for 30 odd years. I've never been an athlete, so I teach my dogs to do things, first of all, close to me, so we work on the normal things, and then practicing those same exercises further and further away from me, out of my reach, so I can get my dog to do a sit or a down 20 yards away. I can get my dog to turn left or change direction or wait to the right, or I can get my dog to sit and stay while I walk away 20 paces before I give them the okay to get up and run. So I do all those things and I build it up in the young dog as from puppy upwards. Then I would just muck around with a hoop and a barrel, literally by setting them down somewhere indoors if you can't get outside, and just rewarding the dog for walking round it, walking through it, so that they get familiar with the obstacles. Formal training, I would look at maybe doing more lesson style classes when the dog's mentally strong enough to cope with that. So 6 months plus.
Okay.
If you think, if that's the case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it shouldn't matter which age. And the golden oldies, if you've got a dog that's retiring from agility or whatever, you can still start them off on hoopers. Because, as we said before, some of the exercises were based on some simple physiotherapy ideas of flexing and suppling and gentle bending around the barrels and stepping through bars to work on coordination. So that can be still done for the golden oldies.
Okay. Yeah, because you actually have a separate, veteran section to hoopers, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Did you want me to sort of explain about the shows that Hooperholics do?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah? Okay. So, Hooperholics UK, we do training, we run workshops, we run instructor accreditation things, and we also have the option of doing competitions. Now, we've brought up our own set of rules and things, and it started off as separating it into 4 categories. You have a hoops only class, you have a tunnels class, you have a barrels class, and you have the mixed class, which is using them all. We separate it into small dogs, which are 15 centimetres, at the leg, on the leg up to the front elbow. It's not measured at the shoulder. Any dogs that are technically over 15 centimetres on the leg is considered a large. This is following what has been done in other countries like America and Europe. We've added to that as categorising them with a veteran section as well. So dogs over a certain age can still compete, but they'll be in a separate progressive class system of their own. The one thing about Hooperholics shows is we encourage the training and the achievement of being able to do a course from one particular spot or from behind the line separating the courses. That gets harder as you go up the grades. So you'd start at the starters, you get improvers, then we've got class C, B and A. For the veterans, a lot of people's dogs do adapt to working further away from their handlers, but my own personal experience tells me that sometimes as the dog gets a bit older, they don't want to run that far. They say, oh, run 10 metres to that barrel. I don't think so, not unless you're coming with me, sort of thing. Yeah. And some of the smaller dogs. So the option of always being able to move with your dog and do the course is always there. Okay, just because don't think you can't enter a Hoopers competition because my dog doesn't do distance handling. You can do it. Distance handling is in the eye of the beholder. Some people can get their dogs to run 20 metres away from them. That's fine. They've probably got a certain breed of dog that does that naturally. Other people, if they can get their dogs to work away from them 3 or 4 metres away, if they've got a small dog, that's going to be quite an achievement too.
Yeah.
So that is their achievement. And if they can do a course where they can trust their dog to keep that distance away from them all the way, they're working their dog at a distance.
I remember once being told that it's not just compete against other people, you're competing against yourself. So it's like you're tallying up points for yourself.
Yeah. In Hoopers, and I like this system. I like the system of you get your own points and you can measure your own success. I like that aspect. It's not about winning. And in Hooperholics shows and HUK shows, we put points over speed. Speed comes into it, so they say we've got several people who have earned the same bonus number of points by doing the clear round all from one area, then we would categorise the prize giving according to their speed. But we don't, at this present time, we encourage people to do what they can with working their dogs from a distance. But if they get there, it's not about how fast they actually do the course. Some people run things without a time limit. We put a time limit of about 90 seconds on a course, and people are, even with the veterans, can easily achieve that.
Okay. So you have recently started a new section to Hoopers called Hooper Levels. Me and my dog Ice have actually completed one of the levels ourselves. We're working towards our second level.
You have. You and your mum.
Yeah. We're working towards our second level. But for our listeners, could you tell us why you have set up Hooper Levels?
Where it is. Okay. Yes. Now, Hooper Levels is a wonderful training format, and we've got this because we made friends with a Hooper champion in the Netherlands called Mandy van Laar. Now, she came over to train us. Oh, when was that? Seems so long ago. Wasn't the year before last? Okay, so 2018. 2019. Lordy. 2019. Back in May of 2019. Now, this was because I thought we need to know how to train Hoopers properly. So I invited Mandy to come over. Now, Mandy is a recognised champion and instructor in her country. And what she did was she blew us away with how she could get her dog to just literally with a flick of a finger do a whole Hooper course. Now, we were all so used to trying to run after our dogs and wave our arms and hope for the best that we were going, how do you do this? So she spent a weekend teaching us all this. And at the end of that, she's created this training format which she has called Hooper Levels. And as Hooperholic UK instructors, we have trained with Mandy to become formally accredited Hooperholic instructors. I'm one of the first people to have as far as I'm aware, I'm one of the first people to actually get an external accreditation as a Hooper instructor. And I learned about the Hooper Levels, and we have Hooperholics UK have the license to show people how to do the Hooper Levels in this country. How does it work? breaks down your training for hoopers into 10 different essential key exercises. That includes things like teaching your dog to sit and stay, go forward, go left, go right, turn round the barrels, etc. Every one of those 10 essential items, 10 essential exercises, has got 10 different levels of difficulty, ranging from the very simplest one, which you could start with your young pup, learning to sit in front of a hoop and wait until you say go, to the most complex bits at level 10, where you are testing, and again, this is testing your own training ability and your progress in it. And it's almost an extreme at level 10, to be able to send your dog down a 50-metre straight line and ignore distractions of hoops and barrels on either side. It helps to give you, as a trainer, as an instructor, a step-by-step progress chart, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how well your training has reached. You might be on step 3 for teaching your dog to wait. You might be on step 7 for teaching your dog to do a square of barrels. When you've got all the exercises of one level ticked off, that's when you've completed a Hooper level. So you can try out, there's 100 different exercises there for anybody that's got the kit and the space to even try to do it, that teach you and your dog the things to do for Hoopers. And the additional challenge is to teach yourself to do it with as little assisting your dog, looking at it as assisting your dog to do the exercises and to do the training, rather than telling them. So that's where you learn to adapt what you might already know and pick up a new handling style.
Yeah, because what I found really interesting was, because obviously me and my mum have also qualified as instructors for the Hooper levels and assessors. Mm-hmm. The thing I found interesting is, like, you get deducted points if you say the cue too many times when it's unnecessarily needed.
Okay. Yeah, Hooper levels can be used in a lot of different ways. You can use it just purely for your training, okay, and you can aim to cut down. So, for example, if you had 6 hoops out and you told your dog in a straight line, and you told your dog to go, 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 go for every single hoop, Hooper level says to you, work yourself backwards. Try and see if you can get your dog to do those 6 hoops by just saying go once or twice. So that's all built into it.
I remember you saying to me once, "Why are you saying so much?" I was like, I don't know. Less is more, and the Hooper levels. If you go on the course, you've got to do the course. You've got to try and because it's okay to see the exercises, but there's a lot of explanation to go with it. Yeah. So you have to go through the course of understanding how you use it. So if an instructor wants to use it, you can use it as a way of planning your classes, ticking off, student 1 can leave their dog, student 2 can do the left and right's good but can't leave their dog, student 3 can do both of those things, tick tick tick. You can assess, and then you can make it into a test. You can make it into an assessment and make it a bit of a fun test so that people can go home, with a prize. We got a certificate and a rosette. We've reached Hooper level 5, Hooper level 6, Hooper level 7. And that has proven that their dog has got, and them have got a good grasp
of all the 10 essential exercises to get onto a Hooper course. And that's the interesting thing, because you then start looking at diagrams of Hooper training courses, Hooper competition courses, and you go, oh yeah, I see where my sit weight is going to work. I see where my go on command is going to work. This is where I need that. I see where my left and right handling training has got to work. I see why I've got to use different commands for my barrels, because it moves, it transfers across to what you need for your competition handling should you go there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
So Hooper levels can be used a lot of different ways. You can, in summary, you can use it as a training aid. And instructors, once they've done a course, you can use it as a training aid. You can use it for instructors, and you can use it, just as your own self thing, your self progress. Okay. If you can send your dog down a line of jumps or hoops, shouting go 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 go, right? Well, what's my next step in doing that in Hoopers? How can I improve my handling on doing that? Well, the logical steps are, how far away can I stand from those hoops and still get the same thing? How many times do I need to keep telling my dog what to do?
Yeah.
Am I telling my dog what to do, or am I assisting my dog in what it needs to do? And that's the difference.
I quite like doing the Hooper levels because it just gives you something to work towards.
Absolutely. And the thing I've noticed is, if you look at all of them, okay, you may be at different standards. Your dog may be at different standards for any of the 10 exercises. So as I say, you may be able to do a very complicated barrel exercise at level 7 or 8, which is sort of like basically working your dog within a square and outside of the square. On the other hand, what may be your weaker side, and you can strengthen it, maybe your sit stay or your slalom. So Hooper levels brings actually some of the moves that you will see in Hoopers into the training. And again, this is because it comes from, the other European Hooper societies are networking together, and they judge each other. So you will see very similar courses. And some of the things that you will see are items like the barrel or the gate, and sequences. I think we call them sequences, where you've got more than one obstacle together. One of them being what they call the slalom. Slalom, we might call it a flick flack, where we used to have the dog jumping backwards and forwards over a row of jumps. With hoops, they have a similar thing, but it's trained differently, but it still needs to be trained in increments, so that you're not looking at doing it running with your dog. The challenge here is to be able to get the dog to independently move backwards and forwards through 3 hoops spaced apart on your direction.
I think it took me something like 3 days to teach my dogs to slalom. They were like, I really don't get it.
But yeah, you see, but the nice thing about training Hoopers is, if you have a stage where it's not going right for you, you can just peel it back a bit. Just peel it back. Make it easier, and go back a step and get the hang, get that right, and then you'll suddenly realise you'll be able to progress again.
You have that 3-time rule, don't you? Like if it doesn't go right the third time, then you have to make it easier or something.
I mean, I would say so. I would say so. If because we all know as dog trainers out there, the first thing to blame if the dog don't quite get it to rights is us.
Yeah.
Hoopers is so subtle. You won't believe. I'm as subtle as a brick, mate. I am as subtle as a brick, and I'm never going to be the world's most genius Hooper handler. There's going to be loads of people who can do it. I'm going to be able to do it better than me. Hoopers, that's also, when you go to the training side of it, the technical side of it, that's the fascinating bit about not how obvious can you be with your signals to get the desired effect, but how subtle can you be to get that effect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I find like just the height of your hand will like either pull the dog in or push them out further.
Yeah.
So
I find it so, I think my dog sometimes is as subtle as a brick. And there are times when I realise that if I'm too late with my signals, and I mean body or verbal signals, he's just, I've got to be so in time with him, because he covers the ground so quick. And if I don't know when to say what I need to say, I ain't gonna get the desired outcome.
I think that's with everyone though, because all my students, they say, why are they not getting it? I was like, because you're saying it too late. But they're like, but I'm saying it as fast as I can. I'm like, yeah, but you got to be like ahead.
You got to be faster. This is the thing. When you start learning one thing, and I don't know whether we're going a little bit off topic or off piste here, but you've got to remember to start, even if you're training an experienced dog from other areas of activity, be ready to go back a step in your training, because it's not the dog you've got to adapt, it's actually you. Yeah. So if you're used to running and panting up behind your dog all the time, you have got to adjust yourself to give your dog the chance to say, no, I'm not going to keep up with you all the time, mate. You go off and do it. I'm going to stand back here, put my feet up on a chair, and wait for you to come back to me.
Can you tell us about the importance of the belly button?
Oh, you see, this is where we're going on to the handling and the subtleties. Viva la belly button! We didn't get to many shows this year, but my friends did a few shows this summer, and there was a lot of comments. I was so chuffed that our training as Hooper level instructors and practice, over the last year or so, is finally beginning to show, and they're coming home with the bacon. I was absolutely over the moon to see my friends get in all these things, and so many of them said, people are asking us, how are we doing it? And we said, it's all in the belly button. And this goes back to when Mandy came over to us the year before last, and literally just seemed to sort of like wink an eye and her dog went left, and then she winked the other eye and the dog went right, and she could do the same course standing up, sitting on a chair, or lying on the ground. And we go, how are you doing this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And as we were saying, you said about hand signals and how it works. And she showed us that when you work Hoopers, you're not just using one part of your body and, 10% of your body, and the other 90% is sort of like just hanging there. You are doing if you work your dog from the centre of your body and use that as your map, as your compass needle, following your dog, then you actually find that using your arms, either side of your body, can actually work better.
Yeah, it's like a support.
So Hooper training, the way Hooperholics is following, the way Hooperholics is teaching people, is about getting your dog to go away from you, so you step forward, and then when you want them to come back, you suck yourself in and you step back. And that simple body language, and if you want them to go past you, you just rock. You just rock your body from side to side. And that's, as I say, about the subtleties. You learn to become, it starts off as quite an obvious encouragement, and then you look at being able to, lower the tone, leave it down, so that if your dog's only working a few meters away from you, up to 5, there's no need for glorious hand gestures, as if you're making a speech.
No.
You can keep those hand signals for when your dog needs to be working 7 or 10 meters away from you, because that's when they might need that extra push. If you're already using those hand signals when your dogs are only 2 or 3 feet away from you, you've got no backup for when you want to try and get your dog to work further away. So that's where the belly button system comes into it. Teaches you to keep the arm signals down to where the dog can watch them and not be distracted. And you watch your dog's progress using all of yourself, not just an arm or a leg.
Well, I came from agility originally. Most of the time you use your shoulders and your arms and your hands. But when I started at Hoopers, I actually found the idea of using my belly button to guide him rather strange. But after a while of using my belly button, on the occasion I would forget, it really showed me how much my dog was actually paying attention to my belly button and pull off of something, or because it wasn't there to support. It's because you are utilising not just part of you, but all of you, but it still comes into effect, and you do need it, and it does work nicely if you're moving. And incidentally, I'm not talking about running, I'm talking about a power walk. I always say to people, right, yes, if you're moving with your dog, but look at it as a power walk, because then you can use your body signals a lot clearer to the dog. Yeah, I do find that when I'm teaching my students, if I give them a box to stand in, they'll just stand in the box. I'm like, no, you've got a box, use it, because I find if I just stand in the box, my dog will think, well, am I doing something wrong? Why are you not moving? But if I actually walk around and use the entirety of the box, he's fine. He thinks I'm running, but I'm not. If that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah, and again, that's all part of, say, foundation Hooper levels and stuff like that, because in some aspects we may be trying to teach people to actually change what they already know, and so and we all know that changing a habit can be harder than just learning a new one without without knowing anything. But yeah, it's a good thing to sort of like sometimes put out a square or a box, because some people who are so used to moving with their dogs suddenly think, oh, don't, you can say, that's electrified, don't step over the pole, or you'll get a shock, and they'll go, oh, well, I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, my dog can do it without me, oh, look at that. Sometimes they have a eureka moment, and don't you? You just, some people just have to have a bit of a eureka moment in their training to give them the confidence to realise that they can, what else they can achieve.
Definitely, because one of my students, she'd do it perfectly in training, and when she went to a show, she would still not use the box, if that makes sense. She'd still
Yeah,
walk a
yeah.
little bit outside. And I said, look, you've got, usually at Hooper shows down here, you have 2 hoops classes and then one of each of the others.
Yeah.
So I said, you've got 2 hoops classes. If you really want to, like, walk one of them, and then the second one, because there's 2 of them, you could just stand in that box and just try it.
Yeah.
And she did, and she actually won that class.
Aha.
So I said, I told you could do it.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to courage your convictions, don't you? Now, you see, I mean, in competitions, we have the thing of either putting out a bonus box area or a line. Sometimes we might even put out both, so that it's there's the options for people who are still transferring or learning Hooper skills. It's still new in this game, but ideally, if you are starting out your Hoopers, start looking at doing simple exercises which do not need you to, run or move quickly, which your dog can achieve easily and successfully, and without you needing to trying to direct them too much or make it too long and complicated.
So can you actually tell our listeners about the obstacles used throughout Hoopers in the UK?
Aha, yeah, all right, okay. Now, this is another reason why I really liked Hoopers, because you didn't have to go out, you didn't have to be a millionaire to go out and get loads of expensive equipment to teach. And it was easy, portable, and safe for the dog. Now, what's come over from America and what is used is the hoop, the barrel, the tunnel, and the gate. The hoop is like a ground-based arch. Okay, so it's like an arched window. For those of us who are of an age where we used to remember, we're going through the arched window on the TV children's program. And it's the simplest versions are made out of plastic. You want 21mm plastic pipe. You can use slightly thicker but not too thicker pipe, so I wouldn't go much over 26mm pipe. That sort of like makes a 3-foot wide arch base. Plop on top of that a cut open hula hoop. How easy is that?
Very.
So, I mean, even I've made these things, Obviously, you can get them made professionally. People got them on sale now, and there are different variations coming out, but they are still under experiment stage. So,
yeah, I've seen the ones without the bar at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a couple of reasons why they have come out. One of them was a friend of mine, actually, had a dog who needed a set of wheels because she was paralysed at the back. And when she made up the hoops, of course, the little dog wanted to join in, but she couldn't get over the bar at the bottom with her wheels. Love. So she recreated them so that there was no bar at the bottom, and the dog started trotting through with her little wheels, down in her garden. Happy days. The other version is that the serious competitors have found that their dogs were going at rates of knots around the courses, and thus they were kicking and touching the bottom bars, and one dog actually apparently hurt a nail rather badly. Which set several people in those countries on the line of, well, maybe we can make these hoops without the bar. And they have also been making them in more durable material like aluminium. Yes, like a bit of lightweight aluminium, or with slightly weighted bases. As I say, they are in experimental period, to be honest. People are saying that they're really good, but they're also working out at very expensive.
Yes,
And that's
that's
why I
an
like.
issue.
That's what I like. Yeah. If you want to start hoopers, all you need is one hoop and one barrel. And then you can start teaching your dog to do hoopers. And you can do it indoors or outdoors. Whereas with other agility, you need your jump, and you need a weave, and you need a contact, and you need it just goes on. If you want to teach your dog to do hoopers, you need just 2 items, and then teach your dog to do some tunnels at another stage.
And there's also gates as part of Hooperholics UK, isn't there?
Yes. So, as I was saying, so you've got the hoop, the barrels. They can be pop-up barrels. They need to be about 2 foot in diameter. What's that in proper? Well, in metric.
I have no idea.
Barrels, right? 2 foot in diameter and 2 foot across. 59 centimeters. It's the posh bit. Okay. And about 28 to 30 inches high, so that, especially if you've got a large dog, and try and have a lid on them. Okay. You can use containers. There's various plastic containers. If you want to be portable, people have been using the compost pop-up bins.
We actually have one
for good training. Yeah, and they're very good. The only thing is that green is not always a good colour for dogs to see. But Hooperholics are in the process of talking to somebody who might be able to who's looking at making us portable bin and portable barrels in a much better colour. Going on to just briefly tunnels. Tunnels are bigger. Tunnels in hoopers, and this is across the societies here in the UK particularly, tunnels are 80 centimetres across. They are that extra 20 centimetres high. Now, if you think about it, this is because Hoopers wants to be inclusive of all sized dogs. And when you start seeing dogs of a certain size having to slow down and duck to do the agility size tunnels these days, that's not what Hoopers is about. Hoopers is about letting the dog keep up a natural, regular pace across the ground, so that it doesn't need to slow up, suddenly duck its head and then come out and then try and pick up speed again. So 80 centimetres for a tunnel. They are 1 or 2 metres wide, long, and never bent. So you never bend a 2 metre tunnel into a curve or a turn. It's going to be straight lines. Again, all important factor, nice and easy for the dog to do. Simple. The dog doesn't, so the dog does not have to sort of like, it might have to make some adjustments, but not look at making handbrake turns to do the tunnel and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, because if you see the agility tunnels, when the dog run through them, more so the little dogs, they come out on a side kind of thing, on the side of the tunnel.
I know. So use the anti-slip tunnels, and you try and give your dog a good, fair approach. So they're never going to, in Hoopers, the dogs are never going to be expected to make a right angle turn into a tunnel from 5 metres back, or even enter a tunnel from the furthest end if it's approach. It's always going to have a fair approach. Now, Hooperholics UK and a lot of European Hooper societies use what they call the gate or screen. Now, this is another version of a barrel. The barrels help the dog take the turns in hoopers, nice and smooth. The gate can also help keep a dog on track across a long gap, say between two hoops. So there might be two hoops 10 metres apart or more, and to keep the dog on a straight line instead of a barrel, which might encourage them to take a turn in towards the course or something. There'll be a flat screen of a gate. It's about 1 metre square. It's a rectangular shape more than anything. Where are we? I'm just going to double check here. I'm sure I put this. Okay, so okay, yeah. So it's a bit of a rectangle. It's about 100 centimetres by 120 centimetres. 4 feet, so 2 feet on either side to support it. And you put up a piece of netting or opaque screen and attach it to the frame. So the dog could see your shadow, as it were, as it goes past it on the other side to you. So it's not totally blank. You know, you might get away with a homemade one with maybe a little bit of the old scaffold netting and things like that you used to use for putting up in your camp, making your camp garden. So you could cut a square of that off. So therefore the dog knows there's a barrier between you and them, stays on the other side. Okay, so that's what we use. Now, I know that there is one other piece of equipment going around, and that is called the touch mat. Hooperholics UK didn't invent it, and we haven't got it on our itinerary. But other people have, and the idea is that it takes the place of teaching a dog to put a foot on it as it runs across it. It's almost like a very foundation running contact idea. We're not, it's out there. You may come across it if you enter a Hooper Society's competition. So you may need to find that you've got to teach your dog to learn to run across a 1 metre long mat, and without jumping it. They're just got to run naturally across.
Okay. So, have you got any tips for our listeners that are already part of the Hooper world?
Okay. I think I've burbled on quite a bit. my things. I don't know what that is. Okay. My 3, I think, top tips here is be open to adapting any training you already know and do. Okay, so if whatever you've done, see if you're willing to adapt that. So, and look around at how people are teaching Hoopers at the moment. It's new, it's really only taken off in the last 2 or 3 years. There are people out there. It's been in America for over 10 years. It's been in Europe for longer, for 5 or 6 years or more. So we are new to learning about it, training it and teaching it in this country. So be open, look around, ask other people, why are we training it this way? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's important to ask questions.
That's it. The other bit will be, don't worry, and I'm speaking to the instructors perhaps in there and everything. Don't worry about always setting up long and winding twiddly courses. They, even a well-trained dog can work through the Hooper level simpler exercises, and that builds up when at the pace of the dog. So be aware, allow your dog to go through the learning and the learning stages as well. So build it up, yeah? Trust your dog. So be willing to step back and say, I trust you to do this bit. Hey, go and have some fun. The key things that HUK, Teach and Train, is that combination of being able to get your dog to go away from you and then pulling it back and then sending it off to another play. That's what HUK instructors are encouraged or shown how to work now with the Hooper levels. And all you need to do then is just put a bit of finesse on it, put a bit of sparkle, whoop-de-doo, and you know, and suddenly you're doing all those fantastic Hooper classes. So keep it simple for the dog's sake, and just challenge yourself to try the course.
So, talking about courses, I have my own 7 stages which I go through when walking a course, and I actually teach my students this as well. But what would you say it's important to have a plan for course walking?
Yeah. So tell me, what is your 7 stages then?
So I'll summarise them quickly. So first of all, you walk the course, find out where everything is. One of them is to walk it as the dog, so you can see if there are any tricks, and if there are any tricks, then work out what they are and how you can perhaps prevent that from going ahead.
That's a key one. That's a key one for Hoopers too. Absolutely. That's top of my list. Yeah.
And then I always say, once you've walked as the dog, then walk the DL or the box as you would be, where you would be then. Or if you're not in the box, then walk it as you would around the course. The next one would be your verbal cues. So work out when and where you would say your verbal cues.
Yep,
and then
absolutely.
Bringing it all together kind of thing. And then walk it again for good measure kind of thing.
Yeah. And I would say, yes, those are exactly the same things I would do. Looking at it for the dog's point of view. I very rarely see people doing that on Hoopers. They all just walk it. Oh yeah. They all just walk the course as if, and muttering to themselves, "I'm gonna say it here. Go. Here. And do I do a left? No. Do I do a reverse turn here? Will I need a pull through?" Hooperholics UK do not teach people to do reverse turns or blind flick flacks or any of the agility moves. I have a favourite saying of push it out and suck it in. And that, in other words, if you step forward, you can get your dog to move further away from you. If you practice that sucking in from the centre of your body, not just stepping back, that pulls the dog into you. So when you walk a Hooper course, even if they're straight lines, look at it from what the dog is going to see. Then you can move to then you can look at how far away can I be from these hoops and still get the same result, on a straight line. Where's the bonus? What part of the course is the bonus? Most competitions will have a portion of the course as the bonus, and it should be achievable for most people. 90% of that class should have thought, oh yeah, I can get that. If I stand here, strategic spot, I can do that sort of thing. Timing your commands and also being practiced in coordinating when you say something and coordinating your body moves with it. Believe it or not, sometimes that's very hard for people. People will think, oh yes, and they'll be calling their dog to them to make them do a turn or come back, and they forget to step back at the same time. So the dog carries on merrily because they're giving conflicting signals. But my top tip is, look at these things from what the dog is going to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interestingly, it sounds a bit weird, but with one of my students, her dog and her were just not getting this course together. So I said, look, let the dog have a break in a minute. What we'll do is I'll pretend to be your dog, and I'm going to be very nitpicky. And as you give your cues, I'm going to be looking at all of your body language, and I will do what your body language and when you say your cues at the right time. So when she was doing it, I was going wrong on purpose, obviously, because she wasn't giving it to me at the correct time, or she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, I really understand now." I was like, "Yeah, because obviously when the dog does it, it's so fast you wouldn't notice it. But when I slowed it down, pretended to be the dog, she did."
And that's a good tip for, even if you're just doing a lesson, maybe trying to bring in a few, to video a few clips of exercises, and looking at, any of the parts, the bit that, whether it went right or whether it went wrong. I'm not a perfect handler, and I often will need to analyse or assess something 2 or 3 times to, so that I know, I got that wrong first time. I'll have another go. Okay, I've got to remember to stand there. Oh, dang, I forgot to rock over and move my belly button. Dang. Right, I must remember to say that at that moment and rock my belly button. And so when I get the third go, I've got the 2 things together and my dog gets it right. Hey, happy days. Yeah? But sometimes, when if you video something and you can pass that back to the students, that also helps them. One point there, just initially, is have an aim in mind at what you're going to improve. And if you put up a really long course, sort of like 15, 20 obstacles, have it in mind what you're looking at working to improve for your Hooper performance.
Yeah. So you've always got
because the dogs will get tired after just 2 or 3 goes. And you'll find then, that their mojo, for some of the dogs that, they'll either go on making mistakes because they're tired, or the handler gets tired. So be wary when you set up a really, a real course, that you don't let them do it completely for too many times, and always aim to have something to improve when you set something up.
So where do you get your inspiration from when it comes to writing up rules and updating equipment, course designs and regulations, etc.?
Now, HUK got their rules from mostly the American NADAC Hoopers at the time, back in whenever it was, but using a bit of the fault system from the agility, the UK agility. Now, the idea behind that was to try and give something that was understandable to people, because most of Hooper shows and courses are done on earning points, and some people get confused as to what actually needs points. So in HUK you get points for successfully working the dog for part of the course at a distance. Now, it's optional, but as the training skills progress and people start moving up the grades and getting better at it, working more and more of the course will be achieved from one central area or from behind a line. That said, there will always be an option of, if you don't, the bonus thing is not mandatory, but it is a challenge to aim for within Hoopers itself.
So, have you got any upcoming big plans for Hooperholics UK?
HUK have got a whole policy and rules and regulations for the training of instructors, training in general, using the equipment, creating shows, organising shows. that can all be downloaded on the current HUK rules. Some of them may be altered in the future, so you just need to keep updated. We have, and there will be, HUK do have a online coaching, online training facility site, and within that there is a course for learning about the Hooper levels and becoming an HUK instructor and Hooper levels instructing.
I did that.
Yep, we did. And the next one that's coming is going to be a course for judging and understanding what it is to judge Hoopers from the HUK aspect, but from most aspects. That is going to be a freebie. Whoa, get that, people. A freebie. We're going to have a website soon, very, very soon. There will be a website in which you can access details and learn about where you can find your trainers, what we do for shows, how we work our points league, and how you can register to become on the HUK points league. All those little nitty-gritty details. We're also looking at, and this is so, you've got to make plans, even depending on what the COVID-19 situation is. But there is going to be, in August, a summer event with, I say there will be. It is hoped in August we will be able to go ahead with a special HUK summer event, mixing finals for our leaders on the HUK progress board with other open competition, and hopefully a training camp with a specially invited Hooper champion instructor. Ooh, yeah.
Where is that going to be?
So that's in August. I'm still working on it, and it's there. We're also working with some people, with companies, to get more equipment in the UK suitable for Hoopers by way of barrels, and there are options on tunnels. And the most interesting and immediate thing which will be coming up is online challenges. So next week there will be, and this is starting from the 31st of Jan, so there will be an online challenge for anyone and everyone to download, film themselves doing, send their film back to us with an entry fee. Now, there will not have to be an HUK registered member to do it, so it means it can be open to anyone across the board, across the world, if they wish.
I'll have to give that a go.
Yeah. So we're going to be trying that out, and we're calling it the Online Hooper Challenge. So it won't need a big space, a huge space, a generous sized garden perhaps, no more than 15 by 15 meters. We're looking at using just a small amount of kit, because some people don't want to, and can't get out to public parks or have their own, got their own field or something like that, or it's underwater.
So will that be like a competition, or just
it will be?
It is,
yeah. We're calling it a challenge, but it is a competition. There will be prizes for people who put in their entries. Okay, and that will be divided into the small, large veterans. It's just going to be, the course is going to be 5 hoops and 2 barrels.
Okay.
This will be downloaded as a file onto the Hooperholic Facebook group. And if anybody else wants to know more, my email is oh yeah, don't forget the podcast, people. Don't forget the podcast, and don't forget, if you want to get in touch with me about looking at putting on even an HUK online challenge. I don't mind. Becoming a judge, being a show organiser, becoming an instructor, becoming a Hooper Levels instructor. Get in touch with me. And the best way, you can email me on info@Hooperholics UK, or one word, .com. So,
wow.
Okay. info@Hooperholicsuk.com. You can get in touch with that, or you can look us up during the Facebook page, Hooperholics UK. You can look us up on the training group. Now, I have a Facebook Hoopers training group. That is called the Hooperholics Hooper Levels training group. You can ask to join that. And that's a subscription group. So you can imagine having classes or lessons available to you 24/7. It's been going since March, and on there are courses, diagrams, lessons, explanations on how you can train hoopers on a small scale and building it up to a larger scale.
So if someone wanted to look for trainers within their area, where would they find that kind of information?
The best thing would be to email me direct, I think, on the email address. And then there will be a list of people in or on the website when it's launched.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you, Angela, for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Well, I hope I didn't send too many people to sleep with with all that blurb and about hoopers. But seriously, guys, if you've managed to get through this podcast, then well done, you. And come and talk to me or Angelina about hoopers. And get stuck in.
We're hoping to, when COVID's over, run some hooper shows down here too.
Lord, that'd be super. We look forward to getting a judging screen and a judging service up and running, so that you can, get some people up and willing to help you. Because although it's nice to have the hoopers shows, we won't be able to do it without people getting more involved in doing things with hoopers for hoopers. All right, thank you, Angelina. It's been lovely talking to you.
And you.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners, for joining us, and I'll speak to you all soon.